Hi everyone, Velvet here, and I have some stories for you today. But before we get started, can you please do me a huge favor and like, comment, and subscribe? It'll really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Let's get started. And our first one comes from individual Lychee 10. Am I the beehole for refusing to allow my mother-in-law into our home until she apologizes for her comments about my past? So, I wanted to use a throwaway account for this post. I, a 27-year-old female, made a lot of mistakes when I was younger, and at 16, I had a baby daughter. Her father was a lot older and a very bad guy, and was sent away to prison before she was born. We of course had no contact today. I'm ashamed of my past, and I do everything in my power to better myself and to provide for my daughter. For example, I missed out on my GED when I was younger, so I studied to achieve it later in life, and I'm currently a part of the college, at part-time at college, while working. My daughter is 11, healthy and flourishing in school, and I couldn't be prouder of her. 6 years ago, I met my current husband, an age 27-year-old male, and he's just a wonderful human being. He's been nothing but supportive to me and an amazing person to be around my daughter. So much that after we married 2 years ago, he formally adopted my daughter. The only problem is his mom. She's very conservative, being a born-again Christian, and the interactions we've had together have never been good. I've always been very aware she dislikes me as a result of my past, and didn't want my husband to marry me or adopt my girl. But on both sides, we're able to be civil enough, to a degree, that I imagine she just accepted it. My husband doesn't have the best relationship with her either, but tries his best, and I've always supported him through that. Even so, I dislike her and I know she hates me. Recently, though, she has said something really awful. It was during a family meal. She came over with her husband, my husband's stepfather, and we ate alongside my daughter. My mother-in-law kept staring at my daughter to such an extent that we were visibly uncomfortable. I asked her politely why she kept looking at her like that, to which my mother-in-law coldly asked if she looked anything like her father, and whether we can compare her face to his mugshot. Wow, what an evil woman. Needless to say, I was floored. My husband was furious, and my daughter actually cried, which made me start bawling too. My mother-in-law smirked and just left with her husband, and from then on, my husband and I refused her access to our home. This was a month ago. A few family members have started admonishing us for keeping her away as long as we have. My reply is that she hasn't apologized, and so we don't want her back. But they're saying we're being cruel and not being understanding of her moral values. She apparently said she's sorry about what happened, but crucially, she hasn't said it to me. Am I being a major a-hole, or am I within my rights? Edit, I forgot to mention that my mother-in-law has been bad-mouthing me to the rest of the family, even more than she has before. She still has not said sorry to me, though. Hi, OP. You are not the beehole. That creature that you call your mother-in-law is 100% the beehole. She got her jollies on making a child cry and going after your weak spot like that. I'm glad your husband was able to stand up to his mother and, bar them from her home. He should have screamed. I would have screamed at her and told her to piss off and get out of my house, but you know what? You guys handled it that way. And looks like the rest of the family isn't that great either, if they're over there believing this ghoul. Yeah, OP, I know you have it barred. You said you have it barred from your house. Yeah, that's an it. It barred from your house until it apologizes, but even then, I wouldn't accept its apology because it's not going to be sincere, and you know it's going to just come after you again and keep doing that because it, for some reason, likes that. And it says it's Christian. What does born again mean? Like, did you do bad things and you're like, oh, now I'm religious. Now I'm good because I'm one of them, Catholic, Christian. I don't know, one of them. Pick one, and that's not how I act towards people. So she is making religion look bad, even though I'm not really that into it, but I don't want to make it look that bad. But yeah, kind of wandered off there. The part where she's apologized. No, even if she apologizes, it's too late. Like she's sorry she doesn't have access to harm your child. I'm sorry, OP. You gotta prioritize your child. It seems like your husband's a really good dude and has your back. So if I were you, doesn't matter what she says or what she does, do not let her back into your life and cut the whole family out if you can, because it sounds like they're a bunch of idiots too. Do not let that creature back into your home because she doesn't sound like she'll ever change. And who the hell gets off on Making a little kid cry. Ugh, gross. Just gross. OP, yeah, you're not the beehole. That thing is the beehole. Our next one comes from Safe Conservation 286. Am I the beehole for calling my step siblings suffocating and refusing to participate in family vacations? My dad got married to Liz 4 years ago. I, a 15-year-old male, was spending equal amounts of time with both my mom and my dad, and the custody schedule was me swapping houses each week. Liz has 3 kids from her first marriage. Those kids are 10, 8, and 7 now. The kids were clingy from the day they moved in, but then in June and July 2020, I was living there exclusively because my mom ended up in the hospital. I couldn't do anything without the kids being in my face, and then every time I asked Dad and Liz to help me stop them, they refused, and the kids didn't listen to me saying no. My dad told me I would never get another chance to have siblings, and embrace the nature of the relationship with them. I told him this was making them feel more like burdens than siblings, and he told me I was too young to see them that way, and dismissed my need for space. It was a huge relief when Mom got better, and I could go to her house for breaks. By the time I was 12, I had asked my mom if she could go to court to change the custody deal so I could spend time with her. I was 13 and it was successful. My dad was upset, and Liz was kinda mad that her kids would miss me more than they already did while I was at Dad's. My uncles, Dad's brother, and his husband even said how strangely clingy the kids were, and they found it weird that every time I was with my mom, the kids would be asking when I would come home and why they couldn't see me. I wouldn't even be gone a day, and they would ask that. They started that before we even knew each other, a year. I spent way less time with my dad now, and went on vacation with him. Liz and the kids last June. It was miserable. My vacation was basically spending all that week with the kids and following them around and doing stuff they liked. On Christmas Eve, I spent a few hours at Dad's because the court still asked for that. So I was there, and my step siblings were being super clingy and telling me not to go, and I should be with them at Christmas, and they demanded. They get invited to my mom's house, and Liz asked me how I could leave and miss out on a family Christmas and hurt my siblings so much. Dad told me on the drive back to mom's, he told me that I should be taking my responsibility more seriously. Responsibility? They're not his kids. I took a 3-week break from them, but the 10-year-old called me daily during those 3 weeks. Then Dad announced we were going on vacation again in May, and he was saying it was a place I wanted to go. I decided right then and there that I was not going to ruin a place I had always wanted to go by being smothered by my step-siblings, and I told Dad they can go, but I won't, and that I won't be going on vacation with them ever again. He was surprised, and he told me I had to go. I said I didn't, and I won't. And he asked me for one good reason why, and I told him my step-siblings would ruin it by suffocating me, and that he and Liz would do nothing about it. Dad called my attitude nasty, and said I should be ashamed of myself for talking about them like that. Am I the beehole? Okay, OP. Just like the previous step stories I've read before, you are not the beehole. When are people going to learn? You can't just force people into a relationship. You have to let that develop naturally. Your dad seems to be trying way too hard and being a terrible parent, and he needs to enforce boundaries between you and the kids. Maybe if he had just left you guys alone and disciplined those kids and gave you your space, you could have developed feelings for them and saw them as siblings. But no one likes anything and anyone forced on them, and your dad is doing that. He's forcing these kids on you, so of course you're not going to like them because he's forcing you to like them. It's crazy how he's unable to see that by you wanting to stay at your mother's more, and basically telling him, yeah, they're smothering me, and I don't blame you for the vacation. That's not a vacation for you. How's that fair? You go on vacation, and then you gotta deal with these kids constantly bugging you, and you can't even have a vacation. I'm not saying don't spend a day with them or something, but you gotta have your own vacation. It's a vacation. And they're not your children. They're not your responsibility. That's your father's and your stepmother's responsibility to watch those kids. And if you have a relationship with them, good, but you can't force that type of thing on people, like I said. I took a quick look in the comments, and yeah, I gotta agree with Comfortable C 2454. Not the beehole. Your dad and Liz are failing you and your step siblings. There needs to be boundaries for the kids. If they had done this from the start, you might have been able to develop feelings for your step siblings. They always treated you slash them, guaranteed you will never want to be around them at all. Yeah, it looks like that's the way it is, because he doesn't want to be around them. And our next one comes from Impressive Fun 123. Am I the beehole for telling my sister if she can't handle seeing our parents at my wedding, she shouldn't show up? My sister, age 29, was a nightmare growing up. That is a fact, and my parents did not handle her well. She was 16 when they gave up and sent her to a camp. It was horrible for her. The moment she was 18, she left and was on her own. She hasn't been in contact with them since. A few years ago, we got back into contact and she's much better, in a much better place, and we've been slowly reconnecting. I'm engaged and my wedding is this year. I sent her an invite and she gave me a call. She asked if our parents will be there, and I told her yes. This is where we got into an argument. She wants me to not invite them, or she will not show. That they were horrible to her, and how dare I invite them. My argument was that they treated me well, and it's not their fault that they sent her away. Also, she was a pretty feral kid, but I didn't hold that against her. We went on for a while, but in the end, I told her if she can't handle seeing our parents, not to come. She hung up and thinks I'm being a jerk. Edit, since this has been asked multiple times, yeah, my parents tried therapy. My brother is no contact with her due to the extreme bullying she put him through as a kid. The camp was a minor reform camp. Also, another point, when she was sent away, obviously my parents did not know these camps were awful. They were advertised to be helping kids, and a safe place to help kids when their parents can't figure it out. Good chance your question has been answered in one of my comments. Also, please answer the "Am I the beehole?" question. Okay, OP, I will answer your question. In my eyes, no, you are not the beehole. First things first, it's your wedding. You can invite whoever the hell you want or whoever you don't want. Now, that sucks for her, having that experience with your family, but it sounds like she was just a bad kid, and that is a fear of mine. Sometimes you could just come out, chemically imbalanced, and then you got a kid who wants to wrap things up while you're in your sleep. But I'm not saying that's right. I'm just saying that's a fear of mine, and it sounds like yeah, some kids are just bad, man. Because what it sounds like, they're fine parents. They raised you, and you don't seem to be having any problems, and you want to invite them to your special day. But in the end, yeah, that sucks for her. And it's not her wedding, though. It's your wedding. You can invite who you want to invite. So, yeah, you're not the beehole. Invite your parents. If she doesn't come, you know what? That sucks. But she hasn't been in your life for a very long time, and it sounds like your parents have been there for you. So, if I were in your shoes, yeah, I would invite my parents. Not the beehole. And our next one comes from Daydream Diva. Am I the beehole for refusing to lend my designer purse to my sister-in-law for her wedding? I, a 24-year-old female, have a Chanel purse that was a gift from my parents when I graduated college. It's by far the most expensive thing I own. My brother recently got married, and his new wife, Amy, asked if she could borrow my Chanel purse for their wedding day photos and reception. Amy doesn't own any designer bags and really wanted one to complete her wedding look. I politely declined to lend her my purse. That purse is extremely valuable to me, and the thought of something happening to it makes me anxious. Amy called me selfish and materialistic for not lending it to her for the wedding. She said I was more concerned about a status symbol than helping family. My parents and brother also got upset with me, saying I should be willing to share my things with family, but I don't think I should have to hand over my most prized possession just because it's for a wedding. Now the whole family is angry with me. Am I the beehole for not lending my sister-in-law my expensive designer purse for her wedding? She's acting like I ruined her big day over this, but I think it was an unreasonable request. Hello, OP. Let me answer the question first. You are not the beehole. Something like this has happened to me twice in my life. It wasn't with a big expensive Chanel purse. It was when I was younger, but those things were not cheap to me. It was the whole collection of an anime called Hellsing. I let my best friend at the time borrow it, and he came back scratched. It doesn't play anymore, so I don't own my favorite anime anymore. That's fun. And another one was I lent it to a guy who was really nice. It was the Legend of Dragoon, but his bird scratched the top part of disc 3, so now the game doesn't work and I can't beat Legend of Dragoon. So that's fun. But that guy was nice and bought me a game to replace it. It was Parasite Eve 2, so I count that as kind of a win because I love Parasite Eve. But back to you. I know I said back to you, but I'm giving those examples is why I I get you. Why I don't want to let someone borrow something that I love and treasure. and your thing costs a lot more than a game and then a whole DVD set. Um, I'll tell you right now the part that really pissed me off in the story was right here when you say Amy called me selfish and materialistic for not lending it to her for the wedding. First of all, I don't know how that makes you selfish. That is your property. You can say no. And materialistic. You're not materialistic. She's the one who's being materialistic. I have to have a Chanel purse for my crappy wedding day because she sounds like a terrible person already. She said that you were more concerned about a status symbol than helping family. How does this help family? This bag doesn't, heal her or make her better or anything like that. It's not helping her. That's not doing anything to help her. They're trying to manipulate you and your goober of a brother and parents over here saying they're upset with me because you should be willing to share your things with family. She is not family yet. And plus, I wouldn't see her as family if she's being this selfish and she's being, like I said, she's being materialistic. So no, you're not helping family. Your parents and your brother are idiots. And the part where I don't think I have to apologize to hand over my most prized possession. I agree. You shouldn't be handing over expensive things to people you really don't know that much. She's just getting married to your brother. And other people have wedding photos and all that without having super expensive Chanel bags around their hands, okay? They get the little bag that matches their wedding dress. I'm sure the place that rips you off by selling you expensive dresses has a little bag for you. She's just being a brat or, a bee. Do not lend that woman your purse. And if you don't end up going to the wedding, bonus. Weddings suck anyway. So yeah, OP, to answer the question, you are not the beehole. And our next one comes from, Klaz E. Speth? I think that's how you say it. Am I the beehole for not telling my dad's guests that I marinated the chicken with milk? Okay. It was my 18-year-old male dad, 43-year-old's birthday. He wanted me to cook for him and some friends, and I said yes. Met some of them before. One of his friends is also my girlfriend, 18 years old's dad. I did what my mom taught me. Use milk to make the chicken tender. A couple of them were surprised that I managed to cook roasted chicken so well. I told them, thanks, I just marinated it with milk to make it tender, and one of them panicked. Turns out he has a milk allergy and gets digestive issues. My dad started berating me, saying I should have told him ahead of time that I was using milk to check if anyone was allergic, that it was careless of me not to check first, when milk is a common allergy. Yeah, sorry, OP. I think I'm gonna have to go with you were the beehole, because it's like your dad said, this was a common allergy. And do people do this? Do people cook the meat in milk? Because the only time I can think of that was from that episode of Sunny in Philadelphia where you learn about the milk steak, and that was a joke. I didn't think people do that. Let me know in the comments if you cook like that, because it's kind of grossing me out a little bit. And yeah, a lot of people are lactose intolerant, and that a lot of my family members are, and that is not a fun time in that bathroom when you're dealing with that type of thing. So yeah, you should have told them. It is a common allergy or sickness, I guess. I don't have it, so I'm gonna go chug a gallon of milk. I'm not gonna cook my meat in milk, but you know what I mean. Yeah, you're the beehole, but not like a hardcore beehole. It doesn't, you know what I mean? You weren't like, oh, I'm gonna ruin these people's time. It's just, that's not something I would think of either. But yeah, you should have told him it is a common allergy, and that's gonna suck for that guy in that bathroom. So OP, you're the beehole, but not a hardcore beehole. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Can you please do what I said in the beginning and like, comment, and subscribe? It will really help the channel out, and it'll get you more videos like this every day. Velvet out.